Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Ubuntu testing day on Ubuntu On Air. This is the first time I've set up a YouTube On Air, so I hope you can see us. Um, my name is Leo Arias. On Ubuntu On Air. This is the first time I've set up a YouTube On Air, so I hope you can see us. My name is Leo Arias.
I'm assuming they can see you, considering that you can see yourself.
Yeah. Okay, that was a hidden window open in a different machine, hard to find. Sorry about that. Where was I? Okay, I'm Leo Arias. I'm an QA engineer on the Snappy team on Ubuntu. And here with me is Kyle Fasari. Do you want to introduce yourself, Kyle?
Sure, my name is Kyle Fazzari. I'm on the Snapcraft team here in Snappy. I also am the maintainer for the Nextcloud Snap. So I think that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Awesome, thank you. And we were supposed to have Julia, who's missing in action at the moment. I suppose she will join us soon. If somebody's talking to her, just poke her, tell her we're waiting. And let's start with some basic information. This is streamed at ubuntuonair.com. You can see the video there. There's an embedded IRC chat in the same webpage. The idea is that you can ask questions, sending them to the channel. And in order for us to easily find the question, it would be nice if you prepend it with the word question all in capital letters. And feel free to ask whatever you want. We will try to go through all the questions as we find them. Feel free to interrupt us too. The idea of this space is to be inclusive, open, and start from the beginning. We will see some advanced things. Kyle here has some cool things and complex things to show. So if you get lost, if you think we're going too fast, just let us know and we will try to slow down. At the end, I will make a summary of the presentation. I will post it with some links that you can read to learn further, some channels for the community where you can come and ask more questions. And well, Friday is still early here. So I will be around for a lot more hours if you want to stay and try some of the things that we will talk about here. Feel free to keep asking during the day. Kyle tells me there are some questions. Do you want to read them, Kyle?
Sure. So first of all, first question is, what is Ubuntu Testing Day? And why hasn't the Ubuntu wiki for it been updated since 2009? So
I didn't know there was a wiki from 2009.
Ubuntu Did you steal someone else's name?
Yeah. Well, it's not too original, right? We should have gone with the original name for this session, that was Snapcraft and Beers, but it was too early for most of us.
Snapcraft and coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to the less original name of Ubuntu Testing Days, and it's the idea is to get more people involved in the Ubuntu community, and I think that the right place to start is helping people test things. Like, you will get to learn about different technologies, and you will also experiment in different areas that will let you know what you prefer. Like, there are so many things to do in the Ubuntu project that it's good to take a look at the different things that are out there and give them a try, and then the one you like the most, you spend more time in there. So we will have these sessions every Friday. I think the time of the day will vary depending on the guest that we will have. If we have somebody from Europe, we will have to do it earlier probably, but we will announce it with anticipation, and I'm going to update the wiki page. Thanks for letting me know about that. Something else, Kyle?
Yeah, there was one more question, also from Coda Europe. How often do you look at and comment on the Ubuntu App Showdown subreddit and the app ideas?
Never.
I'm not sure that's us at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the community team. We're not the community team.
Yeah. I just read Reddit. I never comment in there. But let us know why. Like, why are you asking that? Do you have some suggestion or some complaint? Just let us know. So can we move on?
Yeah, that's it for now.
Okay. Thanks for looking at the questions, Kyle.
No problem.
You are a great guest so far. And Kyle is here going to show us Nextcloud, which is a cool free software project to host your own cloud. And do you want to start showing us what you have?
Sure. So first of all, just a brief background on Nextcloud. It's relatively new here as a project. It is a very prominent OwnCloud fork. The founder of OwnCloud left OwnCloud and started Nextcloud, and it's now been it's kind of become a very prominent replacement for it, and I've started using that as well. Back in the day, they published a mailing list post saying, "Hey, Western Digital has approached us about shipping this piece of hardware, and we're looking for community submissions to for how to run Nextcloud on what was a Raspberry Pi. Give us some suggestions." And I submitted an image using Ubuntu Core and Snap. So I made this, what was at the time the OwnCloud Snap. It's now Nextcloud, and it's taken off not only as part of the Nextcloud box, which is the hardware that resulted from that collaboration, but also as just a generic way to run Nextcloud, as long as you're willing to accept some constraints. Basically, if you're not trying to run Nextcloud with load balancers or any sort of complex use case, you're okay with some of the default configuration, etc., then it's a good way to get up and running or test new features as new releases come out, etc. So it has quite a few users, and it's a full web application. It's Nextcloud, which is PHP 7, so it has PHP FPM. It's running with Apache. It's using MySQL as the database. It's using Redis as the caching server, and it clocks in at about 150 megs. So it's a decent snap. Now I have just a couple of minutes here. I just wanted to walk you through some of the features here, but first of all, I wanted to show you just what it looks like once you install it. And I got to remember how to share my screen. Hold on, I'm going to get a window up first. There we go. Can you see Nextcloud?
I still can see you. Oh, yes, I see Nextcloud now.
So once you install it, it's listening on port 80, and you can visit the IP address, assuming that your firewall has that port open, and you see this, which it's just simply asking you to create an admin account. Once you do that, you log in and you have a full Nextcloud system with no configuration whatsoever. You don't need to install the database. You don't need to hook things up. It generates the database for you, including a unique username and password. you can get up and running just like that. So let me walk you through how the snap is actually configured here.
So is that like the server you are using for real?
No, I just now installed this on my laptop. But you'll notice I have a domain name here, staging.rainveiltech.com. Actually, you can visit this if you want, and you'll see this as well. It's just running on my laptop. I just created an admin user, so just log in with that username and password. Excuse me. So I'm gonna switch screens here. I'm gonna give you my terminal. We'll get a little more nerdy here. If I can find it. I think this is the one I want. You seeing am I in the Nextcloud Snap directory? I've got like 8 terminals open. Leo?
Sorry, I was looking at Julia that just arrived. I will send her the link.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we're all good. All right.
Yeah, I see your terminal now.
Okay, very good. So this is the snapcraft.yaml for the Nextcloud Snap, and it's big. It has several apps, most of which are daemons here. So you see Apache. It runs it as a foreground daemon. This is mostly historical. Snapd also supports forking daemons, but back when I wrote this, it wasn't supported that well. So all of these are blocking foreground daemons. Here's MySQL. It doesn't actually start MySQLD directly. It starts with this script, and the first thing the script does is generate a database for Nextcloud, which is why I do it that way. PHP FPM, Redis, MDNS, so you can visit it with, your host name, or if you have localhost.local domain or whatever the Ubuntu core default host name is, then just nextcloud.local. MySQL client, which people can use to import or migrate Nextcloud installations to this snap. The OCC command, which is it's a PHP command in Nextcloud for running upgrades or changing the config in some way, and HTTPS enabling and disabling, renewing the certificates. So this snap supports HTTPS in a couple of different ways. One is self-signed certificates. That one's pretty easy. But the other one is integrating with Let's Encrypt, and then it'll renew it automatically for you. Now the parts that, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is like the most complex snap that we have gotten out there, right? So if you feel overwhelmed by all this code, just don't worry. Today we will focus on the usability of the snap, and in following sessions we will take a look at a more simple snap to get started, and then ideally at some point it will be obvious for all of us what Kyle did in there. For now, you just have to know that snaps are a really cool packaging technology that's secure, that's isolated, and Kyle has done a lot of work on this snap to make it shine.
And the cool thing is that they all, the snap includes all of these things, and they all dance together just because of the way I put it together. You don't have to do anything just to use it, which is really what we're focusing on today is using it. What I'm showing you is this is really not the best snap to learn from, right? But it's a great way to showcase the technology. So I've got another question here. Does Nextcloud have a URL shortener for file links like Dropbox? Not that I know of. It does have, so when you share files with someone, it generates a URL for that, and it's not typically that short. I don't think it has a URL shortener unless there's a third-party app out there which is available, and that's possible. I wouldn't put it past them, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, and that's really cool about Nextcloud, right? That you can extend it with plugins and things like that, and it's
definitely
software, so everybody can. Well, you just need to have a little knowledge and want to do it.
Right. Yeah. The even fairly core functionality in Nextcloud, like like your contacts or your calendar, which is that's actually the main reason I got into OwnCloud originally. Now Nextcloud is because my wife and I wanted to share our calendars with each other, and I didn't want to do it through Google, so I installed Nextcloud and installed the calendar app, and then we could share our appointments with each other. Or contacts. Your contacts can sync to your phone and your Thunderbird install on your desktop, that type of thing. All of that stuff I do through Nextcloud, not Google.
Lost you, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle, I suppose, sorry to put in there, I was just asking for, Twitter and things like that. I don't know if you can still hear me, but it was just the URL short enough for my characters, what have you. I know it shortens it, but I was just wondering if there was plans for that or if I could open up a bug somewhere.
That's a good question. I'd have to do a little research to know if it's specifically supported, but as for logging bugs, you can log it against the Nextcloud server, and they'll probably redirect you from there. However, it's worth noting that I think Twitter recently removed URLs from the 140 characters, did they not? Or they're talking about it, at least. I've read some articles about that.
What, they're going to remove links?
No, just not counted against the 140 character limit. No one's heard anything about that.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So any links aren't good. Well, how's that going to work out for if you're going to send a text message off? Surely it's going to still be in the link somewhere, isn't it? I'm not sure how that works, but well,
I'm just saying the use case you discussed was on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
I've read some articles about how Twitter is or will soon stop counting URLs against the 140 character limit. Obviously, texts, you're out of luck. That's a technical limitation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what it's based on.
Can we take a small break to introduce the two new guests?
Please, yes.
Up here, Julia, are you there?
Hello.
I see your picture.
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm on the road. That's why.
Oh.
I didn't want you to show you the very bad light on the place I'm at. So but I wanted to join anywhere.
You're doing extreme hangout in there.
Yeah, something like that.
So Julia has been working with upstreams to help them get their software packaged into Snaps and into the store, and it's easily installable for every Ubuntu user. Do you want to talk a little about that work?
Well, we're at the moment trying to contact upstreams to show them the benefits that both they and their users would get from using Snaps. We're having some conversations with very important upstreams to actually allow them distribute their software, packaging it just once, and then having it available for a lot of distros all at once. And for example, not with the user avoiding to have to take care of all the dependencies and trying to get the right version of the stuff they need. Trying to convince them also to make the latest version of their software available for early adopters and for other developers to test. And it's an interesting conversation. A lot of them are very interesting. Some very interested. Some have already played a little bit with Snaps. Others haven't yet, but we're trying to get them there.
Awesome, thank you. So we will have Julia often here, probably showing interesting projects like Clone and some other things that are getting snapped.
Yes.
What about you, Kiera? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah, I'm from Europe. I'm Coder Europe on IRC. I pretty much take a back step in terms of my face on Ubuntu, but I'm definitely part of the community. I recently bought a BQ5 phone, which I got off a guy from the UK on eBay, which is good. That was a step up. But yeah, I've got a facial condition, so I don't tend to come on. I hope you respect that.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I hope you will join us often. If there's something you would like us to talk about, just let us know.
Well, I was just going to ask Julia, how often do you talk to Scarlett Gately Clark? Because she's definitely a packager. I mean, she works for the KDE project, and she's on Patreon as well, and I've funded her in the past, and she takes a big brunt of the packaging for KDE, and I'm sure she'd be able to step up to the mark if she was just given a bit of help with snap packaging.
I didn't get the name. Can you please repeat?
Scarlett Clark. I can say for one, she's been very present in the Snappy IRC room, so I know she's involved already.
Yeah, and
Yes, I know that there has been some talks ongoing with the KDA team. I know they're doing things together. I mean, not me personally, but I know that other members of the team have been talking with them.
yep, hopefully we will have them also in one of these sessions, showing all the cool things that they are doing to package their application and their cool UI too. Okay, let's continue with Kyle. Sorry for the interruption. Do you want to finish your tour on?
Sure. I mean, there are so many directions I could go here, but let me put my screen share back on there. All right, see my terminal again. So the point is, just looking at the YAML, there are a lot of components to this snap, a lot of pieces working together. Yeah. So is there any interest in any particular part of this, or should I just keep kind of diving in slowly?
We can get this on Ubuntu Touch, right?
If what you're running on actually supports snaps, right? If you're actually running it on the phone, currently that's still Vivid, which is pre-Snappy support. The phone is still mostly Upstart based, etc. We need systemd and so on for snaps. But if you happen to be running, the Touch UI on something that is like 1604, say, or just Unity 8 and Mir, it'll run there just fine. Well, let's talk through Apache first. So, well, here, let me open this back up. So Apache is the backbone of this whole thing. It was also the first thing oh man, as I scroll, it keeps muting me. That's super annoying. Can I disable that? Probably not. Well, I apologize. So you'll notice that I actually have a custom plugin for this. The reason being, I wanted to be able to specify, what modules I wanted enabled in Apache, etc. It also was originally building PHP as an Apache module as well, which actually made the plugin super complicated. But as of now, this is really the only reason this plugin exists, so that I can specify the modules I want. And as I add, like I just recently, I guess a month or two ago, added support for HTTPS, and so I needed to enable the SSL module. I didn't want to have to edit a bunch of AutoTools lines just to build that new thing. So I made a plugin for it. And Snapcraft supports these local plugins. That's not really my goal here to explain all of that, but this isn't too complicated. The idea is it supports these modules, which is an array. It also, you can tell it which npm you want to use. It defaults to the event. and it specifies what packages it needs to actually compile Apache. It does compile Apache. It does not use the Debian packages because that does a bunch of stuff in Postant scripts which aren't run with Snapcraft. So this all builds it from source, and specifically builds the modules that you need and only what you need, so it's as small and precise as possible. And then it just has this configure line to do the right thing here, and then it installs it. It's super simple. Again, I could have done this just with an AutoTools plugin, but then I'd have to have this really, really gross line in here, which has some duplication. I'm not a huge fan of Apache's build process, but instead of that, I have this nice state of what modules I want. And then I ship just a custom Apache configuration here. I can do here. And so here's a pre-written Apache config that's specific to this project. So it is a very embedded use case here.
You deliver that with the Snap 2?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Do you deliver that config file with the Snap? Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly. So the Snap includes everything needed, right? Apache, Nextcloud, MySQL, Redis, and so yeah, this is Apache essentially pre-configured for this Snap. It is still generic, other than the fact that I have these load modules in here, right? That are kind of specific to the modules that you have available. But the rest of this, it was nice because Apache is one of the most configurable projects I've ever run into, where you can set pretty much everything either by config file or some sort of command line flag. And so I was able to make sure that the server root was in Snap, for instance, but then it tried to write the PID file to Snap data instead of trying to put it in Snap, which is read-only in this case.
Okay, so we have one more question here, Kyle, about internationalization in Nextcloud. Like, do you know how many languages does it support?
I don't. There is definitely support. I don't know what languages they have. Now, I will come right out and say I am not a Nextcloud developer. I am a Nextcloud community member. I made this Snap because I thought it was a perfect use case for snaps and makes it super easy to deploy, because the installation process for Nextcloud is otherwise quite involved. But questions specific to Nextcloud, I may or may not be able to field. I'll just say that now. Yes, there is internationalization support in Nextcloud. I do not know how many languages or what languages they have, but I'm sure they talked about that on their website somewhere.
Also, Kyle is just learning Spanish, so he will soon
I'll soon be able to give this completely in Spanish.
Yeah.
I
give you 1 month.
The Snapcraft team is all. Everyone speaks Spanish except for me.
Yeah, te podemos ayudar.
Yes, indeed. What do you say if we jump to giving it a try?
Yeah, let's do it.
Installing it.
Yeah.
So there are many ways to test this in Ubuntu. If you have if you have a Xenial or later machine, you will just have to type sudo snap install Nextcloud, and you can add --h to install the most recent version that they are delivering that's unstable. And that's what we want to do here. We want to test the things before they are released, to help other Ubuntu users to make sure that when this reaches the broad Ubuntu community, it's properly tested and it will work well. That will use your real machine. So here I have a different proposal. That's to use a virtual machine to have a more controlled environment, to be able to control what you want to install in there, and also to be freer when you are testing things. So if you're learning Ubuntu, you don't have to be afraid of breaking your computer, the one that you use for homework or for work or just play. You can just throw a virtual machine away if you broke it and start again. So I'm going to share my screen and show you how to create one with Virtual Manager. And these instructions are all in my blog. As I said, I will make a summary of this meeting with some links, so you can follow from there if you arrive later or you don't want to follow right now. Let me see how to do this. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So this is a program called Virtual Machine Manager, and it uses a virtualization technology called KVM. I won't dig deep into them. For now, you just need to know that it can emulate a real computer, so you get all the feeling that you would have in a real one, and you can do most of the things in there. I have a bunch in here created. These are the ones that I use often to test new releases of Snapcraft and Snap and different things Ubuntu related. So let's create a new one. Just click this button here to create a new virtual machine. We will use an ISO image. That's the thing that you burn into a CD-ROM. I have downloaded it into my machine. Also, I will provide a link to show you how to download the latest LTS Ubuntu release. LTS means long-term support, and the latest was 1604. So let's install this one. This should be pretty stable, but also pretty useful for new people to get started. In here, you tell it how many resources it will have. It will consume resources from your real machine, so you don't want to give it everything you have, because then your real machine will be too slow. For my setup, I usually use 2 CPUs and 2,000 megabytes of RAM. That's more than enough. That's a powerful virtual machine. And in here, you tell it how much disk space you want to give it. I usually use 20 gigabytes that are probably just enough to play with the machine and throw it away after a week or after a couple of days before it fills up. Let's put a name in here. And finish. That's it. Now you will hear that this is booting Ubuntu. This is the same thing you will see when you try to install a real Ubuntu on a real machine. We're just emulating a lot of things. Again, the steps to do this, you will have a link to follow in case you get lost. In here, I'm selecting the language and choosing to install instead of try to make it a little faster. And it will take some time to load. So in there you saw all the languages that Ubuntu support. In these sessions, we would also like to touch into the localization of Ubuntu, testing Ubuntu for different languages. But I usually start in English and then switch the UI. We will cover that in another session, probably. So this is the Ubuntu installer. It's super simple. You basically just click continue. And as this is a test machine, we want most of the default values in here. So we'll just go through it quickly. You can read the messages later. And if you have questions, you can ask us or go to askubuntu.com for more information. but I will just try to go faster. Just install the operating system on all the 20 gigas that I gave for the disk. Click continue on everything. It asks for the region, and you can see here that it tries to guess where I'm at. This is correct. So continue. Now it lets me choose keyboard layout. My keyboard is in English, so everything that's not English, it's a mess for me. But you can select different things and try them here. Let's just choose default English and continue. Now this is my data. These values don't matter a lot, but you will have to remember. And the password. Choose something simple in here. Not necessarily extra safe because this is a throwaway machine. So you can just choose something simple that you will not forget, but it will not take a long time for you to enter every time. And that's it. It's installing. It will take some time. It's slower than a real machine. That's one of the downsides of this kind of emulation. But the upside is that it was pretty simple. Just touch buttons and you will have a testbed ready to experiment. I think this will take like 5 minutes or so. So do we have any more questions? Or maybe Kyle can talk to us a little more about Nextcloud?
I'm happy to if there are no specific questions.
Let me try to get back to the chat to see.
If there are no questions, I have one.
Please.
What was the most difficult part to snap?
That's a good question. Probably MySQL. The reason being, it uses it's the InnoDB backend for MySQL has a thread cleaner, or excuse me, that makes a call out to set priority, which Snappy does not include in any of its interfaces, which means that it gets killed by setcomp. Now, in setcomp, there are, ignoring Snappy for a second, there are a number of ways you can handle a denial syscall. The two that are the best, or the most widely used perhaps, is you return an error no from the syscall, which I think is the best, or you just kill the process that called the syscall. The best thing to do is to return an error no, and then the application can handle that failure accordingly. The problem is in setcomp filters in the kernel and libsetcomp, if you get a denial with error no, it's not logged. And so tools like Snappy Debug wouldn't actually show you, hey, this call was denied. It would just return an error no instead. And so in order to get the nice logs that the Snappy team thought was more user-friendly or developer-friendly, excuse me, they went with kill instead. And we're working on upstream support for error no. The problem is that it makes things like MySQL more difficult to put in a snap because it just gets killed. So what I'm actually running here is not MySQL itself. It's actually a fork.
Okay.
And so I had to make this fork, find the place where it was calling set priority, and add some compile timed flags for disabling it. So you'll see with InnoDB page cleaner priority off. This is something I added. I tried to upstream it to MySQL, and they said, why isn't Snappy using why isn't Snappy using error no? And I said, that's a great question, and it didn't go anywhere. So so right now, until we do move to error no, I'm maintaining this fork. Now that said, Snappy is also making another development, which is argument let's see here, argument handling in the seccomp filter. So now you can say, yes, you can call set priority, but only with these arguments. And then that should be able to work okay for MySQL as well. That hasn't landed quite yet, but that will probably land before the Erno stuff does. And then I can start actually using the real MySQL upstream.
Awesome.
So, and one really nice thing about this packaging into snaps is that the parts are shareable. And all the work that Kyle did investigating MySQL, well, you can just reuse it. And there's some people from MySQL upstream trying to make an official snap too, and ideally a reusable part too. So when we merge all the work done with Kyle and upstream snapd and upstream MySQL, it will be really simple. If your application has a MySQL database, you will just have to put a line in there telling it, reuse this nice part that somebody else did for me, and I don't have to understand or actually care about a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle.
Any more questions, Julia?
I realized that while I was talking, I was showing you in my terminal what I was talking about, and I wasn't sharing my terminal. so this is what I was talking. You can see I'm running out of my fork here, and I've got a support no set priority branch, and then here's the new compile flag that I added. So that's how that works.
Right. You said before that your Snapcraft file was one from where to learn how to snap.
Just because it's so huge, you know. I think it is good if you were curious about, okay, I have this application that uses Apache, you know, how might I use Apache in my snap? Then you could go to Nextcloud and just look at the Apache specific stuff. But if you're just sort of, I wonder what snaps are, don't start with this.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, you can definitely learn some things here as long as you're going to it with a specific purpose in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I don't know, but it looks like a very complicated Snapcraft file, and maybe it's a good place where to learn a lot of stuff you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, actually, to that end, I wrote a series of blog posts about the process I went through and lessons learned. I mean, the reason I did this in the first place was because I was on the Snapcraft team, but you know, you don't really understand the technology that you're even developing until you start using it. And so I did this knowing that it was, I had a background with Nextcloud or OwnCloud at the time already, and I knew it was a pain to set up and upgrade, etc. And so I thought it would be a really good opportunity for a complex snap, and I learned a lot. And so I actually wrote a 6-part blog post series about it. If anyone is interested, I'll paste it into the chat room there.
Yes, please.
I just did. So yeah, there are definitely a lot of things that I learned in this process that I've only mentioned a couple of them here. So please feel free to read that if you want a head start on it.
Oh yeah, and your blog is an amazing source of resources in there, kairofa.com. Kyle has been documented the process from start to end while he's working on this snap, and you're still adding new posts, right? It's like
I'm working on the CI stuff now. So what I've been working on most recently is making sure that I get daily builds, which ended up using a brand new feature of Travis that are cron jobs basically to spin up new builds on Launchpad. So you can build snaps in Travis, but then you only get AMD64, and I wanted to get all the architectures, so I use the Launchpad snap builders for that. And I'm working on documenting the setup that I went through to get all those builds working.
Yeah, please do. I guess upstreams will be very interested in taking advantage of that.
Yeah, now we're making the process I went through was not as streamlined as it could be, and the Launchpad folks are working on making that a lot better. For instance, when I initially wrote it, Launchpad didn't have get imports, and so what I had to do was I used Travis and a Launchpad bot account to take the commit that I just pushed and push it to Launchpad. So I did my own get import. And then Launchpad has these snap builders. Are you familiar with those at all?
No, I have been, well, I only read the Launchpad blog post about it.
Okay, they are excellent. I can't say enough good things about them. If you're curious about how to use them, though, they're not really the best documented thing. I have a blog post about that as well. So if you want to check that out, feel free.
Thank you.
But they are really nice, and they will build for all the architectures we support, which is super awesome. So they have the ability to build when the branch to which they're associated is changed. And so with Travis, I push this commit to the branch, and then that spins off a Launchpad build, which is cool. But it means that I can only ever build what is in. I can only ever build when the branch changes. Now I can use the Launchpad API to spin up changes, but then I can't change the code that it's associated with. They just implemented get imports, which would have made that whole thing a lot simpler. So while there are a lot of lessons learned from the blog post that I will write soon, there are better ways to do that now.
Awesome.
We have another question here from Coder Europe. He asks, will this be uploaded to UApp Explorer store as a community snap?
So it is actually published. It's an official snap supported by Nextcloud now. It started as a community project and Nextcloud adopted it. So it is published by Nextcloud. It's in the Snap store and thus also in UApp Explorer, I believe. Published by the Nextcloud publisher. So it's sudo snap install Nextcloud will get you what I'm talking about here.
Yes, it's in the Ubuntu official store, and UApp Explorer uses that store to show the apps available and offer to download them, which is really cool. So you will see it there if you go to UApp Explorer and search for Nextcloud. It will appear. Okay, let's move on. Let's do some testing. I'm going to cheat here and show you a machine already started because the download bandwidth here is too low. So let me share again. So this is what will happen when your installation on the virtual machine finishes. It reboots and it starts on Ubuntu Creator, and you enter your password. And again, remember that it's emulation, so it's a little slow, but not too much. It's bearable. There are alternatives to do testing on lighter systems that are also isolated and offer you some of the benefits of the virtual machines, but are faster. We will see about them later too.
We just need to check startup music, eh?
Sorry?
We just need the check startup music.
I didn't understand what you said.
Yeah, it's a cinematic joke.
You got caught. Yeah, well, maybe you can make the joke on IRC, and I will have some time to understand it. It was too much English for me, probably. So let's go. We were talking about.
Now you know why I'm learning Spanish, by the way.
Yeah, he can't make any jokes because we don't understand them. He needs to learn how to make jokes in Spanish. Sudo snap install next. So this is the command that we were discussing to get you Nextcloud fully running on your system. and we're going to test the Edge thing.
I actually don't recommend that, Leo. So since you wrote the gist for testing, Edge has become daily master, which is incredibly unstable. In fact, it may not start up at all. So I would do beta or even more recent.
Okay, I tested this yesterday night and it started all right, but
wow, awesome! It has not yet started for me, so
I will follow your advice. And
beta will work better.
This is a cool thing from snaps. Like you can choose how risky you want to be and how bleeding edge you want to be. Edge is the most risky one. Then beta, it's supposed to be more tested, more stable. We have a candidate channel that's almost ready to be released. And if you don't pass anything, you will be on the stable channel, which should always...
Which is the one we recommend if you're actually wanting to run Nextcloud for real.
Oh, look, as I was cheating, I already did this. So, good. I'm reusing a virtual machine here from yesterday. So this is telling me that I already installed it. If this would be a fresh virtual machine, it would have started downloading the required packages and installing them in your system. If you then you will see that Nextcloud it's installed in there.
And is that Edge there? I mean, you'll notice the first mistake I've made is that the version doesn't reflect that you're running on Edge at all.
We don't have a way to check if it's Edge, right?
Well, but I should say version master or daily something very unstable. It's not 10.01. But anyway,
okay,
yeah.
There you go. We found your first bug.
My first bug.
Awesome. This is being useful already. So this is installed on your local machine. So the address is localhost. You go there, and we will see that the same thing that Kyle was showing us that was running on his server. Just that this one is yours. If you install it in a real machine, you can start sharing your documents in here. As we have it in the virtual machine, we will just use this to break it all up. So try random things. I'm going to create we will see if it's as broken as Kyle says, or it actually works. I'm getting nervous, Kyle. Should be.
Your VM is slow. Relax.
No. Yeah, it's coming. Okay, awesome. So this is the server application, right? You usually connect to it with your phone. So Nextcloud has some cool applications to download there, and you connect your phone to your local server or to your server accessible to the internet too, but you control everything. There's no Google servers, there's no Amazon servers. You're in charge of everything, and it's amazingly easy. So what do we have here? This is the files UI, and we can create a folder, for example. And we can put a file in the folder. And this is awesome. It even has an editor for the file, so you can make quick notes here or anything. But well, these are text, right? And it constantly saves what you are doing. If you want to upload something more complex, you can click here, upload, and choose something from your machine. So let's upload this random
drag and
image.
drop as well.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool. Let's give it a try. So let's see if Kyle's right, and we can drag and drop it. Trying to put them next to each other.
Yeah, what's up?
I was just curious if the calendars would sync with the standard Ubuntu calendar.
Well, you mean like the one in the notification area.
Right. Yeah.
That calendar doesn't really support events, right? It's just dates. It does sync with Lightning and Thunderbird, though.
Okay, it worked. I'm looking at here at the
it uses
photo.
it uses CalDAV, by the way. So anything that supports CalDAV will work with it.
Yeah, I think that'll probably sync quite nicely when it comes up to 1604 with the phone as well. So that's good.
Yeah, it would be awesome to have someday another Ubuntu one to sync your files, maybe with the Nextcloud. I actually miss it.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if there are any Nextcloud clients for the Ubuntu phone, but yeah, you can definitely do all that now with Android and iOS and the desktop.
Well, I know a guy from the Nextcloud community. I might ask him.
Yeah, good question.
Hi, Kyle.
I got no answer for you.
I'll give you time. You can think about
actually, now that you mention it, I seem to remember a community meeting with the guy who wrote the OwnCloud app for the Ubuntu phone. So there's something out there. And that would probably work with Nextcloud because they share a lot of the same code right now. So that's probably a good starting point.
Yeah.
I'd talk to that guy.
Okay, so this is really nice. The first thing you have to do when testing an application is just poke random buttons and see what happens. Try to learn something about the application. Do you want me to try something cool, Kyle, here?
Sure.
What should I touch?
I mean, do you have the calendar?
How do I find it?
Just go to not enabled. I think that's probably it's kind of in the default list. Is it in there? No. Okay. Go to product. Product. Wait.
Office?
I don't know. This is
Contacts.
Oh, you're running Edge. They've changed some of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that calendar. Or that was the calendar. Oh no, that was contacts.
If Leo was to install Stable now, would all the account information and such stuff survive, or it could be enough?
So if you install, well, okay. No, that won't work. The reason being, Nextcloud has this MySQL database, right, with a specific schema that only migrates forward. Nextcloud doesn't support migrating backwards. Now, if your question was the other way around, let's say he was running Stable, then he could refresh to Edge, and it would carry everything along, and it would upgrade to Edge and everything. But then you can't go back because you've already migrated your schema.
Okay.
You can reset back. You can do a snap revert, right, Leo? For some reason, this is escaping me. You can revert back to the one on Stable, and that'll work fine. But you can't actually upgrade to Stable.
Right. You can. Yeah. It's called rollback. Yes,
right.
And it keeps your data in a backup, so you will be almost as you were before.
Right. And that uses the same, that's just the standard snappy stuff, right? Where let's say you're just running on Stable and a new Stable comes out and there's a big problem with it, then you can roll back to the old version. Even if the schema changed, the database is versioned and it made a copy of it. So that would work fine.
Okay, and we are running out of time. We are already hitting the hour. So if you want to continue poking at Nextcloud, I have prepared in here a small file to guide you about how to test it. I will link to it on the channel and on the summary we will post later. Again, remember that we will be available during the day and during the following weeks and on the next session next Friday to continue answering your questions. If you need a hand or if you want to contribute with something that we didn't cover in this session, just talk to us. We have a cool new channel called Rocket Chat. That's also a Snap. That also it would be great if we show it here. And the URL for that is rocket.ubuntu.com. In there, you will see different channels, one for the community, one for Snapcraft, one for QA, and we're hanging around on those channels. Just choose whatever seems more appropriate for you and talk to us. That would be really nice. So thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Julia. Thanks, Coder Europe, for joining us. I hope you join us again next time. You want to say something else?
Thanks,
No, thanks for having
Julia.
me.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks, Leo. When's the next one, by the way?
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah. Time to confirm and subject to confirm. But we will announce it probably Thursday, Wednesday.
Okay. I have some Spanish questions, but I'm going to answer them and I'm going to ask them in the IRC, okay?
Cool.
Okay,
We will be
sure.
there.
Okay, bye, guys.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Have a good
See you
weekend,
later.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.